social emotional learning and the Illinois learning standards. A little bit about information about myself. I actually got my start in education as a resource teacher and also as a cross-cat English teacher of special education students. And it was at this time that I really started to develop my sense of working with these kids and began to understand their need. A lot of these kids needed to be in a classroom that created a sense of culture and a sense of family, and they didn't have that. Many times you have students in the classroom where they can't even get along with one another, right? They don't even have those social skills. So I felt that it was important to create a sense of family, okay? To create a sense of family within that environment. But again, my background began as an English and resource teacher, and currently I work as an academic advisor with Camelot Education, which is a therapeutic day school in Belvedere, Illinois. What I'll review is the agenda for the day. Today, we're going to talk about social emotional learning. We're going to develop a working concept of what social emotional learning is and how we can incorporate that into the classroom for the students in which we serve. We're going to also look at the problem-solving model, which most schools use, which is the RTI model, and how we can incorporate into the daily lives of ourselves and also for the lives of our students. And then we'll also do a short activity where we're going to look at aligning Illinois learning standards with social emotional learning and take time at the end for any questions that may ensue. But before I begin, how many related service staff or teachers are present here today? Related service staff and teachers. And your name, sir?
Greg Woodzine.
And what district do you represent?
Grant Community High School, District 124.
Pleasure to have you here today, sir. Anybody else? Any other teachers or related service staff? Teaching for Northwest Academy. Okay. So this takes me to my next question. How safe are our schools? How safe are our schools? How do you define safety in your building? So every person here, are all of our buildings completely 100% safe? So what has been done to combat bullying and violence in your schools? Anyone? Yes, ma'am.
We have the Safe School Ambassadors Program.
Okay.
In the second year.
Okay. What does that look like?
It looks like students who were not nominated, but we gave the student body a survey, and they filled out some forms that it's hard to describe, but students elect students, teachers elect students to be ambassadors to school, and we teach them skills to help more bystanders.
So would that be considered your model students in your building?
Absolutely not, and that's one of the things that the program says is it's actually the leaders of the building,
okay,
whoever the students consider leaders, and that's what the survey was. It could actually be a bully himself, someone who's held
okay,
in high regards in their social circles.
So any students that pretty much have status.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, what has been done as far as bullying is concerned is there has been anti-bullying legislation that was actually signed into law in June in 2014 by your former governor, Pat Quinn. Again, these anti-bullying rules are put into place to protect the individuals who constantly receive the bullying from peers. And what the state of Illinois has done is they've created policies in which school districts are actually responsible for reviewing what their behavior policies are on a year-to-year basis, and when bullying does take place within any building in the state of Illinois, whether it's an elementary school, high school, and/or middle school, public or private, we are responsible for notifying parents. and also to communicate to parents what the actions will be for those students who take part in those bullying types of behaviors. So again, we have here, why social emotional learning? Obviously, bullying. Bullying would be described as what? Any verbal, physical, or intimidating type of behavior against a student, any student or individual that is unable to pretty much defend themselves. I know this screen is kind of blurred, but what you see with the United States map, the states that are in dark. You guys, did you know that Illinois is one of the top 5 states for bullying for K through 12 education? Top 5. Every 7 minutes on a playground, a student is being bullied. So again, that comes into play. So what are we doing to be proactive about some of this data that we have from the United States Department of Justice? I mean, a lot of this information is staggering when you think about it. So next question to consider. What group, or rather subgroup of students, would you say have a history of being bullied? What subgroup of students would you say have a history of being bullied within the public schools in our country? Everybody don't raise their hand at the same time. Yes. Special education students, you hit it right on the head. Why? Why would you say special education students? Easy target. Why? Because they learn different, right? They may struggle with math calculation. They may have dyslexia. They are socially awkward to an extent. They may be looked at as a weakling on the playground to an extent, right? Any other reasons why this population of students may be targeted and bullied? To get a reaction? Another subgroup of students, which you say, have a history of being targeted and or bullied in our country. Okay. Anybody else? Smarter students? So if you're a smarter student, you're going to be bullied because why? You're not cool maybe? It's a possibility. It's a possibility. Hand in the back.
I was going to say LGBT students.
Exactly. LGBT students. There's actually a survey that was done, right? In 29 states with high populations and concentration of students, right? For middle and high school students. And this survey noted that these students are still in environments which are hostile. Hostile meaning when these kids come to school and when they are on the premises of our buildings, these students are harassed on the buses, whether it be in the locker rooms, whether it's in gym class, etc. These students are still going to school in hostile environments. If a student is in a hostile environment, they will not be able to exceed academically, right? They won't be able to exceed academically or social emotionally because the two kind of go hand in hand. You may have a student that may excel academically, but they are so fragile mentally, right? And our problem, or rather our solution, we want to create students, we want to create whole students. Also, what the research also notes is that students are LGBT students. When there are resources available though, for students at the middle and or high school level, that these students have found levels of success, right? But these environments, they still need to improve. They're not quite where we want them to be. Matter of fact, is there any school or representative here that has any LGBT programs or initiatives within your buildings? Would you say you have a subgroup of students? So again, why social emotional learning? 2 boys, 2 towns, 2 tragedies, bullied to death. We have Carl Hoover on the left. We have Jaheim Herrera on the right. Both students, age 11, and bullied to the point to where these two children decided to take their own lives, 10 days apart from each other. One student from Georgia, the other student from Massachusetts. And the story of Carl. Carl comes home, typical day from school. Carl comes home, sits down in the living room, quiet. You know, like any responsible parent for your child, you get ready to probably make dinner toward the evening, right? They have small conversation. They talk a bit. She lets Carl know, hey, I'm about to get ready to make your favorite. Cheeseburgers. Kids love cheeseburgers, right? So she gets ready to make his dinner. He makes his way upstairs. And Mom calls, Carl, dinner's ready. Come down, Carl, dinner's ready. No answer. Carl, dinner's ready. Mom's now concerned. Makes her way up the stairs. Right when she gets to the banisters of the stairs, Carl's hanging, right? With an extension cord across his neck, hanging. And he was husky student. He was husky. So when she goes up and she tries to grab him, right, to lift him up, all she can do is yell. He was lifeless, right? And the story of Jaheim, he came home from a day of school as well, but the only thing is, when he came home from school, it was report card time, right? It was report card time, but he came home with A's and B's, straight A's and B's. And the first thing he did when he got home, he wanted to show his report card to his mom, right? He wanted to show his report card to his mom. So when he came in the door, he showed her the report card. The first thing that she did, like any loving parent, she gave him a hug. Wow, Jaheim, I'm so proud of you. She gave him a 5 and everything, right? Little did she know that this would be the last day that she would see her son alive. She too, like Carl's mother, making dinner. Only this time, though, she was making it with her daughter. He goes up to his room, right? Jaheim, dinner's ready. Jaheim, dinner's ready. No response. Second time, Jaheim, dinner's ready. No response. So mom and daughter, they go upstairs to his room. Unlock the door. Jaheim is hanging in his closet, right? Dead. When they reached him, he was cold. But what two things do these two stories have in common? These two boys were bullied. Why? They were called gay. At 11 years old, at the age of 11, these two boys decided to take their own lives, right? So it just makes us think about, okay, what could we have done as an administration if this was our school? Like, what could we have done to prevent that? You know, how does it get this far when these kids decide to take their own lives? Just something for us to think about and to consider. What I have is an example of a school in New York, PS24, who has actually implemented social emotional learning into their classrooms and into the culture of their buildings so that they can get students to exceed academically. But they know in order to do that they had to work on them, the students as characters. And the thing that you find about social emotional learning is that we too, as adults and as educators, can benefit from these type of structures and these programs.